Hi everybody, and welcome to Virtual Sunday School. Well, if you remember last week, we solved the easiest murder mystery of all. Cain kills his brother, and there's only 4 people that can be blamed, and one of those died. Is that really true, though? Were they the only 4 people? Well, if we read further in the Bible, it says that God banished Cain, and Cain was very scared because he says, if I'm outside of the garden, the others will get me. So today we're going to talk about who are these others. After all, how would Adam and Eve populate the whole world if they only had 2 boys and one of them is already gone? Well, let's see if the Bible gives us some ideas about who these other people were. So one of the clues that the Bible gives us is of this mysterious race called the Nephilim. Now, the Nephilim were known to be giants. And how do we know that? Because we believe that the last of the Nephilim, before they all died out, was Goliath, who, if you remember, was killed by David. So where did these giants come from? Well, like everything, they are one of God's creation, but they weren't necessarily human. They were giants. So you can imagine why Cain would be so afraid of something like this. So another explanation that the Bible gives us is that they were fallen angels that were populating the earth. In fact, the Bible makes reference to them as the sons of God. Now, some people believe that when the Bible uses the term sons of God in the Old Testament, this is what they're referring to, these fallen angels. So think about it. If you were banished from your home by God, as Cain was, then you certainly wouldn't want to encounter angels. I mean, think about it. These huge winged creatures, and now they have flaming swords, and they're probably pretty angry. I'm thinking, I'll take my chances with the giants instead. Now, a third explanation is not in the Bible, but some people believe that these others were actually Proto-Man or Neanderthal, but you probably know them better as Cavemen. Now, Cavemen looked a lot like man, but they weren't man. They were hairy, they were carrying clubs, they were very territorial, and they certainly didn't want some good-looking Cain kind of striding into their territory. But they left behind some pretty cool cave art. So the last explanation is something that we as Orthodox would think is the most probable explanation. That's because the Bible says that Adam and Eve had sons and daughters. Now, the Bible only mentions the names of Cain and Abel. Now, later they'll mention another son, Seth, but that doesn't mean that that's all the kids that they had. So the Bible does say sons and daughters, and probably, very simply, Cain was afraid maybe of his other brothers and sisters who knew what it was that he did and that they would take revenge and they would kill him. So in the end, if you take the Bible in the literal sense, meaning that everything that's written is exactly the way that it happened, then what would make the most sense is that Adam and Eve would honor God's commandment to populate the earth through sons and daughters, and that those sons and daughters would be genetically different from one another so that they could populate the whole world. Now, if you believe that the story of Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel is an allegory is a story that is meant to teach an important lesson, then the lesson of Cain and Abel is an important moral Christian lesson for us, and it really doesn't matter how exactly the world was populated. What is important is understanding and teaching that moral lesson. And what is that lesson? Well, you know it. It's one of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not kill. Well, maybe a second one might be, thou shalt be very wary of angry cavemen with clubs. So thanks everybody for joining us, and remember to like, subscribe, and share our video, and we'll see you next week.